For decades, Jim Carrey felt larger than life. He wasn't just a movie star. He wasn't just a comedian. He was an experience. The moment he appeared on screen, something changed. The energy in the room shifted. People laughed before he even spoke. And for an entire generation, Jim Carrey became one of those rare entertainers who felt impossible to replace. Whether it was Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Liar Liar, Bruce Almighty, or The Truman Show, Jim Carrey wasn't simply acting. He was creating moments people never forgot. But recently, something happened that caught the internet completely off guard. Jim Carrey appeared in public, and almost instantly, social media exploded. Not because of what he said, not because of a movie announcement, not because of an award, but because of how he looked. Thousands of comments started appearing. Many people said he looked different. Some said he looked older. Others said he looked younger. Some even claimed they barely recognized him. And before long, a simple question began spreading across the internet. What happened to Jim Carrey? Now, at first glance, that might seem like a strange question. After all, people change. Actors age. Appearances evolve. That's normal.
They're all characters that I played, including Jim Carrey, including Joe Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters. Jim Carrey was a less intentional character because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character.
There's no meaning to any of this, so I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist.
Because there is no me, no self. Jim Carrey is gone, actually never existed, and I know that now.
But the reaction to Jim Carrey felt different. Because people weren't just reacting to his face, they were reacting to something much deeper. Something they've been noticing for years. Because the truth is, Jim Carrey has been changing for a very long time. Most of us just didn't realize it. And maybe that's because we were too busy remembering who he used to be. The Jim Carrey many people remember was unstoppable. He was loud, energetic, wild, completely unpredictable. He could walk into a scene and dominate it within seconds. His facial expressions became legendary. His physical comedy felt almost superhuman, and his confidence seemed endless. But beneath all that success was a person nobody really knew, a person carrying struggles that couldn't be solved by fame. And that's where this story begins. Because while millions of people were watching Jim Carrey make them laugh, Jim Carrey was asking himself, said he wished everyone could become rich and famous so they could see that it isn't the answer. That statement surprised people because it challenged everything society teaches us. We're told success will solve our problems. We're told fame creates happiness. We're told money brings peace. Yet here was one of the most successful entertainers on earth suggesting something completely different. And maybe that's when the transformation really began. Not physically, internally. Because as the years passed, Jim Carrey became increasingly interested in bigger questions. Questions about identity. Questions about purpose. Questions about what truly matters. And the more he talked about these ideas, the more people became divided. Some found his perspective inspiring. Others found it confusing. But almost everyone agreed on one thing. Jim Carrey wasn't the same person he used to be. Then came the interviews.
People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it. Secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it. For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcom have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile, so you don't know what's really going on.
The interviews that spread across social media. The interviews where he questioned fame. The interviews where he challenged the idea of identity itself. The interviews where he seemed less interested in being a celebrity and more interested in understanding life. For some viewers, these moments were fascinating. For others, they were uncomfortable because people expect celebrities to stay the same. Fans develop emotional connections to public figures. They build memories around them. They associate them with specific moments in their own lives. And when those celebrities change, it can feel almost personal. It's like running into an old friend you haven't seen in 20 years. You know it's them, but something feels different. And suddenly, You're reminded that time has passed. That's what many people experience when they see Jim Carrey today. Not because he's unrecognizable, but because he's a reminder that nobody stays frozen in time. Not even our heroes. The reality is that most celebrities spend enormous amounts of energy trying to preserve their image. They carefully manage every appearance, every interview, every photograph, every public statement. The goal is simple: remain recognizable, remain marketable, remain familiar. But Jim Carrey has often seemed willing to move in the opposite direction. Instead of protecting the image people expected, he appeared willing to let it evolve. And that's something audiences don't always know how to process. Because familiarity is comforting. Change is not. When people say Jim Carrey looks different today, they're often talking about more than his appearance. They're talking about a feeling. The feeling that the version of Jim Carrey they grew up with belongs to another era. An era that can never fully return. And maybe that's what makes this conversation so emotional. Because it isn't really about Jim Carrey. It's about all of us. It's about growing older. It's about watching time move forward. It's about realizing that even the people who shaped our childhood memories continue evolving long after those memories were created. And few celebrities symbolize that journey better than Jim Carrey. One reason people remain fascinated by him is because his story contains a contradiction. He achieved everything, yet he continued searching. Most stories end with success. Jim Carrey's story became more interesting after success. Instead of settling into comfort, he started asking deeper questions. Questions many people spend their entire lives avoiding. Who am I? Why am I here? What actually matters? And whether you agree with his answers or not, those questions resonate with people because they're universal. Everyone asks them eventually. Some ask them at 20, some ask them at 40, some ask them at 80. But sooner or later, most people find themselves searching for meaning beyond achievement. Jim Carrey simply happened to conduct that search in front of the entire world. And that couldn't have been easy. Imagine trying to reinvent yourself while millions of people compare you to your younger self. Imagine trying to grow while strangers insist you should stay exactly the same. Imagine carrying decades of expectations every time you step into public. Most people never experience that pressure. Celebrities live with it constantly. Every photograph becomes a comparison. Every appearance becomes a debate. Every change becomes a headline. And perhaps that's why Jim Carrey's journey continues to captivate people. Because it forces us to confront a difficult truth. The people we admire are human. They're allowed to evolve. They're allowed to change. They're allowed to become different versions of themselves, even if that makes us uncomfortable. The internet often treats change like a mystery that needs solving. But sometimes the explanation is simpler. Life happens. Experiences happen. Growth happens. Loss happens. Wisdom happens. And people become different. That doesn't mean something is wrong. It means they're alive. And maybe that's the lesson hidden beneath all these conversations about Jim Carrey. Maybe the reason people keep talking about him isn't because he changed. Maybe it's because he changed publicly. Most of us transform gradually behind closed doors. Friends notice. Family notices. But the world doesn't. Jim Carrey didn't have that luxury. His transformation unfolded in front of millions. Every stage documented. Every shift analyzed. Every difference discussed. And despite all the debates, one thing remains undeniable. People still care. People still watch. People still talk. People still remember. That says something powerful. Because many celebrities disappear from public conversation once their biggest years are behind them. Jim Carrey didn't. Years after his greatest box office successes, people remain fascinated by who he is. Not because of a movie, not because of a scandal, but because of the person himself. That's rare. Very rare. And perhaps it's the clearest sign of his impact. Because true influence isn't measured by how loudly people cheer during your biggest moments. It's measured by how much they still care years later. Today, the internet continues debating Jim Carrey. Some believe he's happier than ever. Others believe he's changed too much. Some admire his journey. And deep dives into the people everyone is talking about. Make sure to subscribe to Roundtable Celebrity. We're getting closer to something bigger with every upload, and your support genuinely means a lot. If this video made you think differently about Jim Carrey, leave a like, share it with someone who grew up watching his movies, and tell us your favorite Jim Carrey role of all time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.